And so for topics today, we're going to kind of wrap up with how to do things like seed saving and what methods are the best way for each type of seed. We'll take a quick break after that. And also, in addition to that, we're going to open up again to do some Q&A with Emma if you still have more questions about growing and gardening and your soil and any of those topics that we've already covered. We'll take a quick break and then we'll join Jose to learn more about hoop houses and what your options are for getting started with one of those, if that's what your interests are or your ultimate goals are. And then we'll go over distribution, locations and dates, and what that will look like for people. And then just real quick, in case anybody is joining us for the first time live, I just wanted to do a quick overview of what we've already covered in our workshops. So the first one started on April 10th. We did an introduction of all of our team members, but also the project itself. We talked about composting, do's and don'ts, and then how to set up your drip irrigation. In workshop 2, the following weekend on the 17th, we talked about the rototiller and some of the proper and improper ways to use that, and who might need to use something like that or equipment like that. And then we also learned about planting and companion planting so that our plants grow in harmony in our backyards or in our spaces. So if you haven't been able to watch those workshops, they're available to you all through our YouTube channel. And then this workshop additionally will be added early within this next coming week so that you can still go back and review anything you've missed or anything that you just needed a little more time to understand. And with that, we can do some quick introductions and then get started.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Emma Dewey, and I am the Farming Advisor for the Center of Southwest Culture.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Jose Manuel Castro Lopez, and I'm the Coalition Program Manager for the Center of Southwest Culture.
And my name is Kater Izuni. I'm from Islero Pueblo and Zuni Pueblo. I'm the Sembrando Salud Coordinator and also our Grants and Evaluation Manager for CSC. And I think with that, I just want to once again remind folks to join us on Facebook. We've had some people post really cool pictures of their growing, their garden areas. It's also where links to those YouTube videos are at. People have posted questions on there, so that's really cool. And please, the staff is definitely ready to answer questions, but if you want to jump in and offer advice for another participant, we really encourage you to do that. We want to make it as easy as possible for everybody to get the information that you need and to also share all of your success. So the group is Sembrando Salud 2021 on Facebook. Just request to join if you find it. Otherwise, I can search for people. I've tried to search for people. It's a little difficult to know that you're contacting the exact person. So just do a quick search for it and see if you can hop on with us there. So I will hand it over to Emma to get started with our first topics.
All right. Well, again, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming back and welcome to anybody who's here for the first time. Today, we're going to be talking about things that you can do after you've had a successful harvest in your garden. So we'll be talking about saving seeds and some of the methods and the storage for doing that. So why save seeds? One of the most obvious things is that that's going to save you money. If you are collecting seeds from vegetables or fruits that you're growing yourself, seed packets range from usually about $2 to about $7 per packet if you're buying them. So not having to put that expense in your budget for your garden is an awesome way to save money. So another reason is that you won't experience any seed shortages by collecting your own seeds. In 2020, with the pandemic, we definitely saw just really how fragile that system is. Everybody wanted to buy seeds, so it wasn't just farmers who typically buy large quantities who were looking for seeds. It was everybody who wasn't working at the time, everybody who was wanting to save money, have easier food access during that time. And so there weren't very many seeds available, and the cost went up because of the shortage. So saving your own seeds in the future can kind of protect you in that way. Another reason is that saving seeds will ensure the longevity and the survival of adapted varieties. Green chili is a really awesome example of that. Through so many generations of people saving seeds from the healthiest, the biggest, the most colorful plants, we have developed all of these amazing varieties that are specific to New Mexico, that they really are not adapted to other places. So that's another cool reason. And also, on that note, you can reproduce plants by saving seeds. If you choose from the plants that are doing exceptionally well, or if you have just a crazy one that comes out that's a totally weird color that you like, or if you're ending up with certain shapes, you can save seeds from those plants and you can continue to carry on that line in the future. So there are a few different types of seeds that we'll be talking about, and they're basically categorized by how long their life cycle is. So you'll hear people in garden centers and all over the place talking about annual seeds versus perennials. And sometimes that's not an easy thing to remember. So we're going to kind of go over what those things mean. An annual seed is one that completes its full life cycle, meaning that it starts out from seed and by the end is reproducing seed. They will complete that full life cycle within one growing season or 1 year. So those include things like tomatoes, beans, chili, some herbs, different flowers, and there's tons of different plants within that category. But just to give you kind of a general idea, if you think of annual means 1 year. So biennial seeds, bi means 2, so we know that biennial seeds are going to produce seeds in their 2nd year, which means that they will complete their life cycle from seed to producing seed within 2 years. And those plants will be things like carrots, onions, and anything in the brassica family, which is going to be broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, bok choy, things within that family. So you'll just have to wait a little bit longer for those ones. And then when we talk about perennial seeds, these are plants that have a longer life cycle. We're talking about plants that live longer than 2 years, but that they produce seeds every year. So those are things like grapes, any fruit and nut trees, different types of shrubs, asparagus, artichokes. There's a ton of different herbs, as well as flowers that are perennials also. All right, so how do you save these guys? There's a few different things to consider before you get into the process of actually saving the seeds. You want to do a little bit of planning. So first, make sure that you're saving seeds from plants that do have those cool characteristics that you really like. Like maybe you had a plant that was just producing enormous tomatoes, or they were coming out with special markings on them, or whatever it is that you really like about it. Save seeds from those plants. And make sure that the plants that you're saving seeds from are the healthiest ones. You don't want to collect seeds from any plants that are showing any kind of symptoms of disease or stress. So yeah, just look for the ones that look super robust and happy and strong. Also, save seeds from as many plants as you possibly can. This is more challenging if you're working in a smaller space or if you're just growing in containers. But the idea behind collecting from multiple plants is to just kind of diversify where the seeds are coming from. And that way you can make sure that you're developing more resilience. You're getting all of the good DNA and genes that are in multiple plants that are producing the same kinds of characteristics that you like. And then once you've figured out what plants you're going to be collecting seeds from, you want to pick out the fruits that you're going to collect from. And you can flag them. And that can be any way that you want to, really. If you just want to take like a little strip of fabric and tie it to the stem of that fruit so that you know not to harvest that for eating. Anything like that will just ensure that you've got that one saved for a specific purpose. And then when you're harvesting the seeds, you want to make sure that the seeds that you're collecting aren't damaged. Sometimes, if you're slicing a tomato in half or other types of vegetables, you might actually cut through the seeds. So just make sure that the ones that you actually set aside are whole, that they're a consistent size, and that they don't have any discoloration on them. So how to actually do it. So there's a few different methods depending on the types of seeds that you're collecting. For the dry seed method, this is a process where you allow the seeds to just dry directly on the plant. You don't have to intervene or help it out in any way. You just let nature kind of do its thing. And so for these ones, you can do dry seed harvesting from things like lettuce, different types of herbs or flowers, really any kind of seed that you see that actually dries out on the plant. And the best way to harvest those is to just cut the seed head off once it's dry, and then just turn it upside down into a paper bag. And you can either kind of shake it out, or you can do a method that's called threshing, where you sort of massage the seeds out of the little casings that they're in. And that's really all you need to do. Storing those in a paper bag is awesome. That prevents light from getting in. They like cool, dark spaces, but it also allows airflow, which seeds also appreciate. So that's the dry seed method. As I kind of mentioned, the best seeds for doing this are like lettuce. You can also do this with corn. If you've ever seen corn just kind of drying on the stalk, that's exactly what we're talking about. Kale, okra, different types of greens, and like I said, herbs or flowers are awesome for dry seed method. For beans and peas, it's kind of the same deal. You want to allow the seed pods to dry and turn brown on the plant before you harvest them. And then all you have to do is just harvest them from the plant and open up the pods and remove the seeds. And again, if you have a paper bag to store them in, that's the best thing. But we'll talk a little bit more about storage later too. So the other method for saving seeds is the wet seed method. And this is for seeds that live in flesh or wet pulp, like pumpkin seeds, squash, cucumber, or melon. And the way that you would do this is to soak the seeds in water. You can use a container, or if you have like a little Pyrex or something like that. Soak them in water, remove all of the pulp that floats to the top, and just kind of break the seeds away from any of that flesh that's still kind of attached. Get rid of that pulp, throw it in your compost. And then you'll want to rinse the seeds in a strainer. And once they're all kind of cleaned up, just lay them flat on a paper towel, let them dry out. And again, just store them in a paper bag if you can. So the last method that we're going to talk about, this is called the fermentation method. And this is a little bit more advanced, but just in the way that you have to be a little bit more patient with this method. And this is used primarily for tomato seeds, but there are different varieties of squash and cucumbers that can also benefit from seeds being fermented. Melons are one that also really appreciate the fermentation process. So the way that you would do this one is basically just to collect the seeds that are still kind of attached to the pulp in a container that preferably isn't super airtight. Like if you have a screw-on lid that doesn't have a seal on it, that would be a perfect kind of container. Or if you save like yogurt containers or anything like that, you can also do that. And so you're just going to let this kind of seed and pulp mixture sit for 2 to 3 days. And you'll want to give it a stir or shake it about every 12 hours just to make sure that mold doesn't have the opportunity to form on the top. If a little bit of mold does grow, it's not a bad thing. It's usually considered more good bacteria than bad, and actually helps to kind of spur along that process. Just as long as you don't have crazy mold, you don't want that. So after 3 days, you're going to add water to the jar. And this is really just for the purpose of getting the seeds to separate from the pulp. And typically you'll see the good seeds sink down to the bottom in the water, while bad or unviable seeds that probably will not germinate usually floats to the top. So you can just kind of skim those off and get rid of them. And then just rinse the seeds until they're clean. Strain them in a tea strainer if you can, because tomato seeds are actually surprisingly tiny. So if you have something that you can use like a tea towel or anything that has a finer mesh, that would work really well for straining those out. And then once you've done that, just lay them flat on a paper towel to dry. You want to make sure that they're completely dried out before you store them. And again, just save them in a paper bag, preferably. So here are some tips on how to actually store your seeds. A lot of people, myself included, have the habit of just kind of storing everything in Ziploc bags. I definitely am guilty of that. But for seeds, they really like to have airflow. It's really important for the viability of seeds. So try to only use a Ziploc if you plan on storing your seeds in the freezer, which is an awesome way to save seeds. You can actually prolong the life of your seeds by 10 or more years by storing them in the freezer. Otherwise, just make sure that you're using containers that are not airtight, preferably that don't allow a lot of light in. Seeds prefer to be in a cool, dark place that's not in direct light, typically within temperatures ranging from 45 to 55 degrees. And they do like a little bit of humidity, but not too much. So actually storing seeds in your refrigerator is kind of an ideal environment for storing them. But again, you don't want to use the Ziploc because you want to make sure that they are getting access to that humidity and the airflow. So I have found that paper bags, the ones that I save from the grocery store, if they're big, it's a little difficult to use, but if you're saving like little ones, you can either store them directly in there, or you can kind of cut them and make your own little envelopes. It's just a little bit of tape stuck on there, and just have a special drawer in your refrigerator that's designated for seeds. And make sure that you're labeling everything. That's super important. Because next year, you know, when you're looking for all of these seeds that you've saved, a lot of different varieties and species of plants look very similar when they're in their seed stage. So super important to make sure that you
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, there you are, Kateri.
Okay, sorry about that. I was talking to myself for a good long while, I think.
No.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna open it up to questions if anybody has questions. And then I have a few that I wrote down for some people who sent them via email.
Let's see, I do see a question in here from Wells. Would recycled cottage cheese containers work? Absolutely. Anything like that, like margarine containers, you know, anything that's plastic like that, that doesn't have that tight seal for the lid, that would be perfect.
And then Troy, who's been joining us through YouTube in Zuni, was wanting to know is it best to add compost before each planting season, or would the soil be rich enough to plant from last planting season?
So generally, the best time to kind of get your soil ready for planting is in the fall, at the end of the season. So you can add all kinds of different organic materials, compost, any kind of amendments and stuff like that that you want to add, so that it has that full cycle before spring to kind of do its thing, basically. So I would say, as far as applying compost, I think that the fall is probably the best time, but it really doesn't hurt to apply compost before you're planting also, or instead. As long as you are getting your compost in there so that your plants have some nutrients available, and the microbes in the soil are able to kind of do their job. Yeah, there's not really a wrong way that you can apply compost, or a wrong time.
And then another question was, and he I guess for anybody, for those who plant in plots, do you plant in the same area year after year, or do you give a section of the ground a break and plant it in the following year?
That's a really great question. So it's I have a tricky answer. So it's good to let your plot rest from production. But that said, the ground does like to be covered consistently. If you remember our little discussion at the beginning of our workshops about soil health, we talked about how the top layer of soil is basically like skin. So it needs protection from the sun and different elements. So I think that the best way to answer this question is always have something growing. It doesn't have to be vegetables, but if you're doing some kind of rotation within your gardening space of, planting tomatoes in one corner of your garden one year and then switching it to maybe just like a pollinator mix or something along those lines the next year, that kind of gives all of your land a chance to rebuild nutrients in the soil so that, whatever you plant in that spot the next year is able to get the maximum benefit from what you planted previously. So I hope that kind of answers that question. Let's see. I see a question from Shirley. I started a compost about 3 weeks ago. Generally, how long will it take for it to become usable? So that kind of depends on a few different factors. How big it is, kind of what your ratios of the brown versus green materials look like, and the moisture that's in there. But if you are turning it about every 2 to 4 weeks, so if you started it 3 weeks ago, you can do that anytime now. And you'll probably need to turn it, I would imagine, maybe a few more times if it's a smaller size compost pile. And you'll probably have usable compost within about 3 or 4 months. But again, it kind of depends on other factors too. So it just kind of depends on your specific situation. Let's see, there's another question in the chat from Anna. Is it advisable to repair holes in an existing irrigation line? If yes, what's the best method? So if you just have holes in your existing irrigation line, there's a couple of things to consider. One is how many holes there are. If there's a lot of holes, it's probably best to just replace the line. But if it's just like one or a couple of holes, you can actually buy in different hardware stores little connectors for the drip irrigation line. And the one that you can use is called a coupler. And basically it just has identical ends that allow you to cut the line where the hole is so that you can get rid of that and then just put the coupler in so that the two ends that you've cut can be reattached together. That's the easiest method that I know of. I wouldn't recommend using something like tape because the pressure that goes through those lines sometimes is enough to just create create a worse kind of situation there with just having a horrible leak. So Yeah, I think that would be my suggestion for that one. Do we have any other questions?
Okay, if we don't have any more questions, or if they're not coming to you at the moment, that's no problem. Again, you can always email us like Troy did. You can put it in the Facebook group, call, whatever it is, we're happy to help. So with that, we will take a quick little break. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I think now we can, unless there are questions that people have thought of in the meantime, we can push forward with Jose, who will give us an overview of hoop houses, what they are, what's the deal with hoop houses. One sec.
Okay. All right. Hoop houses. Let's go. How does it work? Who can get one? How big are they? What are the requirements? And what is the cost, if any? All right, hoop houses. As you continue to grow your own produce, you might find that you will like to move into a larger growing operation. So that's part of the work that we do here at Center Southwest Culture as well. And that's mostly what my project is all about. And call this a community development center. So we work with farmers from different scales all over the state, and we help them at all points. And one of them is acquiring hoop houses, and this helps farmers extend their growing season, so they could, when everybody has food, which is the summer, they drop a little bit of prices. But when they go into winter, and a lot of people don't have hoop houses, that's when their niche kicks in, especially for those that want to grow year long. So yeah, next. Hoop houses, how do they work? So we help you apply to the Natural Resources Conservation Service in the NRCS, which is the USDA program. And it's a 10-year commitment and agreement to apply conservation farming practices. So that 10-year commitment is it's a contract, is a bonding contract between the farmer and the NRCS. Can include improving or preventing soil erosion on field, and a hoop house high tunnel can be part of the plan. So we sit down with a NRCS representative, and we create a plan based on the things that we could do to make sure that our field is the best one that we could have, based um, on preventative and conservation practices, to make sure the land is still usable, generations from now. If approved, you must enter a contract with NRCS. Then NRCS will reimburse the farmer for the hoop house based on square footage. So the way it works is that you go into contract with the NRCS, you create a plan, where the plan really has multiple steps. You have more than enough time to do every single step that you have to do. For example, one of the first steps will be um, getting a professionally done soil analysis and a soil test from the lab, and the NRCS will pay for that. So that would be the first step. And I think you have like almost 6 months to get that done. So you do have time to finish the commitment as you should, but it is a 10-year commitment. With a good vendor, it is possible for you pay nothing out of pocket. So because the hoop house is reimbursable per square footage. If you work with one of the vendors that we've worked in the past, it is possible that the infrastructure, meaning the metal platings and the metal couplings and all that, plus the plastic that goes over the hoop house, will when you get reimbursed for it, it will be about the same amount of money that the vendor charged you to get that hoop house. So you could, come out of this without having to pay a dime for the infrastructure and for the plastic. You will have to pay for the lumber because you have to make, windows and the sidings. But at least most of that is covered, which is pretty expensive. It could go up to like $10,000. Hoop house, who can get one? Really? Any farmer, new or existing, small or large. The application process is based on points. There's usually a preference for people who traditionally have difficulty accessing resources. So the NRCS gets a lot of applicants every year, and the way they decide who gets one and that year or who would have to apply for the next year is based on points. So if you're a disadvantaged farmer or rancher, um, if you are a woman owned and operated operation, that gives you points because the NRCS wants to make sure they're servicing communities that traditionally um, don't have access to these sort of resources. Hoop houses, how big are they? So the largest size that we've been able to get fully reimbursed and that the NRCS works with is a 96-foot by 30 foot. Those are really huge. And the smallest one they might be able to work with is around 9 feet to 12 feet. So the reimbursement is based on square footage. So they'll reimburse you more for a larger one than they would for a small one. Um, as long as your sizes does not exceed 96 by 30. Yeah. So the largest one they do is 96 by 30. And that's a huge production. And when you're ready to commit to something that big, we're definitely here to provide any services that we can. Hoop houses. What are the requirements? Your field has to be irrigated for at least the last 2 years. So there's a NRCS specialist that will go out to your field and analyze to see if the water and if the field has been utilized, especially if it's been used for farming. But if it at least been has at least been irrigated, they'll test to see if that has happened and see if you're actually working the land. The next important thing is ownership or lease on the land for a minimum of 5 years from the start of the NRCS contract. So you have to be the owner of the land, or you got to have at least 5 years lease on that land starting from when you sign the contract. So they need a commitment from you and from the landowner that you will be in that same spot for at least 5 years. Unless you own the land, then a map to the farm and a commitment to a long-term contract with the NRCS. So when they go and see your plot, they'll know how they have to know how to get there. So that's why they need a map. And this is a big commitment. It's a 10-year commitment. So you have to be okay with that. Is there a cost? Yes. We work with vendors that they so the way we've done in the past is that the NRCS will give us a letter of commitment saying that they will reimburse us per square footage, and they'll tell us what that price is per square footage. So we can find a vendor that would be willing, with that letter, to send us all the metal supplies, the plastic, and all that, to get started while we will build the hoop house, and then the money that comes out of our pocket is the lumber. So we could build the windows and the sidings, and then when we finally have the structure up, and a NRCS representative will actually go out to your field and make sure that um, the hoop house was built up as it should have, and it's constructed correctly. So that's the cool thing about the NRCS as well. They actually have architects and engineers that will help you pick out the one that you need for your needs, and actually also help you with the designs on how to build it. So there's not really, you know, like it's easier to navigate it when you have the blueprints on how to do things. So they will absolutely um, tell you how to set it up, and then when they go out to your field and make sure it's built correctly, after they passed it on and they say that it was built correctly and that you passed the test, they'll send you the reimbursement check. And then that check, if you paid it out of pocket, well, then you keep that money. But if you got a vendor to front you the supplies, then you send that check back to them. Uh, Resources are available to learn how to build a low cost version on your own. So yeah, so Emma actually has been working on this. She has been trying to, she found several examples of how you could do this at low cost if you don't want to commit to a 10-year commitment with the NRCS, but rather you want to do it on your own. I know the only thing that might be kind of expensive right now is lumber, as we all know. But other than that, it's not even close to what the price of a manufactured hoop house would be. So like a 96 by 30 2-3 years ago was going for like $10,000 or so, the lower end. Because that, everything gets fancier, and the fancier it gets, the more expensive. um so yeah, that was like 2-3 years ago. I'm sure because of everything that's been happening with COVID and all that, it's probably gone up a little bit more. But there is options out there if you want to make your own, and you're adventurous and handy. All right. Questions on hope houses. So I think there is a couple. Let me read the chat real quick. Let's see. Thank you for sharing this information. Oh, Jennifer, great to know. As I know, with the NRCS, they will work with those ranchers and farmers on tribal lands and pueblos. That includes an incredible amount of technical assistance and resources. There are following COVID safety practices as well. I encourage all to reach out to local offices. So yeah, there. Besides hoop houses, the NRCS does do a lot of conservation practices, and they have a lot of different help they could do. I think they could even help with like planting planting like and pollinator patches for pollinators, help you out with bees. So they have a lot of resources out there. And yeah, absolutely. uh, um, we could probably put some information out there on our Facebook page, and you can check them out, a link for way more resources that they have available for farmers, beginning farmers. So I believe, Emma, beginning farmers is like anyone who's been farming for less than 10 years. So that's, a huge range. Okay, any questions? All are good.
So Wells is asking, what plants could you typically put inside a smaller sized hoop house? So that's a really awesome question. So if you are growing directly in a smaller hoop house, things that do really well in hoop houses, like in the colder months, are going to be greens and any kind of root crops like carrots or radishes, beets, things like that. And then, yeah, like any kind of leafy green that enjoys those colder temperatures. And that could also be things in the brassica family, like broccoli or kale, and things like that. And then in the summer months, tomatoes do really great inside the hoop houses. Let me think. You could also like any kind of nightshade. So tomatoes, eggplant, chili will do really well. And cucumbers also really like being in greenhouses. So really anything that kind of enjoys like those hot summer temperatures will usually do well.
So yeah, if you have any other questions or you are interested in applying for the NRCS, we're here to help. You could contact me, Jose Castro. That's my email address. Or you could just, shoot say hello through Facebook, and I'll reach out definitely. Especially if you are interested in and growing larger scale. And I don't mean like acres upon acres upon acres. I'm just saying, a quarter acre, half an acre, where some of the produce is still definitely for your family, but some of it you want to start sharing with the community and get it out there to farmers markets or to local schools or whatever. We could definitely be of help getting into those markets, and it all really depends on where you're at. If you're in Albuquerque, we'll probably um, connect you with some of our partners like Agricultura Network. If you're in Zuni, we'll try to go into the um, Zuni Public School District, or the Holona Market. If you're in Villanueva, we'll connect you with PECO schools. It really depends where you're at. So, yeah, we're definitely here to support in any way we can, from like food safety to insurance to, um, yeah, about anything that you could think of. And if we don't have those services, we have partners that do.
Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, we'll move on to supplies. But again, if this is something that you're kind of thinking about, not sure about, need more information, just like Jose says, we're here to help and happy to help you through each step of the way. So supplies. So just as a reminder to all of our participants, what is going to come with your participation in Sembrando Salud. It's up here on your screen, but again, so you'll have the 20 feet of poly irrigation tubing, which you also see in that little video, about 20 water emitters, a hole punching tool that you can use to set that up. We didn't cover previously, but landscaping staples to help keep your drip line in place so that it doesn't roll around and mess up your plan. About 3 feet of starter soil, closed and open-ended caps, a printed workbook that covers pretty much each of the topics that we've covered through the workshops so far. It also includes a little more information about each of the seed varieties that you'll get. So you can use that as a reference for planning your garden. And then of course, a variety of organic seeds will be given to you as well. So this is just kind of a general overview of when supply drop-offs will happen. You'll notice that on a few of these places, there's a little asterisk next to it just because we're getting the full and final details of locations set, but the dates you can pretty much rest assured on. So I'm going to ask for your patience because this is kind of a longer part of the presentation, but I want to make sure that it's clear for folks. So I'm going to go through each of these areas one by one. So if this is not your area, feel free to shut your video off and go grab another cup of coffee or something, and we'll try to get through this quickly. So first is the Albuquerque area, Southwest Quadrant, which will be from Monday, May 3rd. And this is like the South Valley, downtown, Old Town area. We, through the wonderful help of our participant, Anna Dabria, were able to secure the location of Valle Vista Elementary School as one of our drop-off spots. So this will be from 5:30 to about, it says 6:30, but I'm thinking 6 p.m. Because the school closes at 6 p.m. We'll be using kind of like the parent pickup area of this elementary school. And this location would be good if you live in kind of like the northern part of the South Valley, Barelas, Old Town, the downtown area, pretty much above Bridge. This is probably the best place for you to come. And Valle Vista is located at 1700 May Avenue. And in my next screen here, you can kind of see kind of how that's laid out. So if you can imagine, Atrisco is right on this kind of side of the map. And this parent pickup area, you can enter through Sunset. And these drop-offs are really going to be as low contact as possible. So if you can pull in, give us your name and just kind of pop your trunk, that's how we'll distribute those supplies for you. Keep in mind the bag of soil. I keep forgetting about the bag of soil when I'm planning these. So if you lay down like a little towel or something in your trunk or your back seat, just so that you're prepared for the fact that a big bag of dirt is coming into your car. So again, Monday, May 3rd, about 5:30 to 6, parent pickup area of Valle Vista Elementary. And again, thank you so much, Donna, for helping us to organize that. We really appreciate it. And so this next section, this is a tentative plan. We need to make sure that we have the okay. But if you are further south in the South Valley area, so closer to Rio Bravo and closer down to like the Isla de Pueblo line, this might be the better option for you to pick up on the same day at South Valley Academy, which is located at 3426 Blake Road. And it's kind of near like the intersection of Blake and Coors, if you can imagine that little area right about here. And again, it would just be kind of like a parking lot pickup, very little contact. So the spot should be okay. We're just kind of getting a little bit of a time lag to make sure that the time is comfortable with the school to use as a pickup location. So what would really help for us is if that seems like the best option for your pickup, you can email me, you can give us a call, and just let us know that's where you would like to pick up. That way I can count for sure how many people we know, and give the school an idea of what kind of traffic to expect. So if you're not familiar with the South Valley Academy, this is kind of like a bird's eye view of what that school campus looks like. So again, you can see Coors here and Blake Road here. I'm imagining just kind of coming in and doing a parking lot pickup thing in and out, just like at Valle Vista. So that is tentatively set for Monday, May 3rd. I'll be sending out updates to some of these tentative supply drops, just so everybody knows where they can for sure go and what day and time. So with that, the rest of the Albuquerque area, we would plan to drop off for serve on the following day, Tuesday, May 4th. So that includes the southeast area, the northeast area, and then the northwest area. So starting with the northwest area, Tuesday, May 4th. This plan is also tentative. We just need to make sure that we have a person who can be out at this spot, but at approximately 5:30 to 6:30, and serving the North Valley, Los Ranchos, and Rio Rancho area. This location is a public parking lot of the Alameda Bosque trailhead. So I'll go a little closer. You'll be able to see that you basically just kind of pull in off of Alameda. So if you were coming from further south on Rio Grande, or potentially from Rio Rancho, you would be going down Alameda here to this parking space, which is right next to like the Albuquerque Center, and then the Rio Grande walking trails right here. So that again would be for Monday, May 4th. 5:30 to 6:30, and if that area is where you want to go, I'll ask you to please just notify us, let us know. You can even just throw it in the chat right now if that's ideal for you. We have some people joining in Rio Rancho. We have some people further south in the North Valley, so this was kind of chosen as the most central spot considering all the various locations in this quadrant of Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. Next is the Northeast area, Northeast Heights and far Northeast Heights. this will be on Tuesday, May 4th, so the same day, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And again, there's people kind of out in Sandia Heights, there's people further south, closer to I-40. So this is kind of a near central location for this quadrant, which is the Arroyo del Oso Park, and in particular, kind of near where the tennis fields are, which is separate from the large like golf area that runs on Academy in Osuna. So if you wanted to punch in your Google Maps, it would be 8320 Spain Road is where you want to search for at the tennis court side. So zooming in a little bit, you can see Wyoming is here, Spain is here. You would just kind of pull in, pick up, and head on back out in the same fashion. So Tuesday, May 4th for the Northeast and Northeast Heights area, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at Arroyo del Oso Park tennis courts. And then same day, later in the evening, 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. in the southeast kind of quadrant of Albuquerque. That includes any participants out near UNM, Nob Hill, Kirtland base, the International District, Morningside Park, which is going to be on the corner of Morningside Drive and Lead Avenue. It's kind of a smaller park as you're kind of cruising down Lead. That's where you see it. And then, of course, remembering that Lead only goes west. So if you're coming up a ways on Cole, you'll take a left on Morningside to Morningside Park here. So that's 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. For the southeast area covering UNM, Nob Hill, Kirtland, International District. If that's you, that's where you can meet staff. So again, if this is the area you want, or if you've seen the area you want or need, please put it in the chat so we know where to go. Okay, so this one's a little bigger. Zuni, Rama, Laguna, and Gallup area, which will happen May 5th through the 6th. And right now, we have a few people in Laguna, some closer to like the village area, some closer to like the very far end of the reservation line. So right now, the plan is to have a drop-off center at the Casino Travel Center. Approximately 2:30 to 3 p.m. is when I anticipate to be able to be out there. And just kind of in the parking area to meet people. There aren't very many folks, but if you're on this call, just let me know if that's where you're located and that is your drop-off location, so I can be sure. So again, that's the first drop for Wednesday, May 5th, 2:30 to 3 p.m. Travel Center, Casino, parking area. I'm sure that all of us know, headed out further west on I-40, there is no accounting for traffic, especially as you're kind of clearing through Laguna. So approximately a couple hours later, I'm trying to account for the potential of getting stuck for a while. By 5 p.m. to about 5:30 p.m., I expect to be near Rama. And so the Rama drop-off would be just at the Rama post office right here. I will have everybody's information with me in paper form so that if there is any incident with traffic or taking longer, I will be able to easily just call people and let you know if any times have changed or anything like that. So again, second drop off for Wednesday, May 5th would be at approximately 5 to 5:30 p.m. At the Rama post office. And then finally, ending that day, Wednesday in Zuni, by about 6:30 p.m., meeting at the Zuni Fairgrounds from 6:30 to 7 p.m. Again, that's approximate, depending on any kind of traffic that happens on the way, just at the fairground area. And again, just trunk open, we'll pop in the supplies, keep it as COVID safe as possible. If for whatever reason you're not able to make that drop off on Wednesday, I'll spend another about half hour the following morning, Thursday, May 6th, before leaving town. Same spot in this fairgrounds area from about 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. To pick up those supplies for people. And then at the same time, or near the same time, after that, coming back east will be a drop-off for any Gallup area participants. I won't go entirely to Gallup, just in the off chance that some RAMA people won't be able to make it. I need to be able to get back through RAMA in case there's another in case there's a person who needs the supplies on the way back. And that goes for any people in Laguna as well. If for some reason we're not able to meet, I will contact and see if we can meet me on the way back east the following Thursday, May 6th. So for Gallup participants, I kind of estimated a little halfway point from Zuni to Gallup is the speedway near Vanderwagen. And so I will try to be up there by Thursday, May 6th at about 11:30 a.m. Just in that parking area. And again, I'll have people's contact information printed out and stuff. So if anything changes, or if you'd rather meet at RAMA, or you'd rather meet along the way, I can try to accommodate that. And so at the same time on May 6th as well, which is that Thursday, staff will be able to take supplies out to folks who have joined out in Jemez and or Zia. And these plans were a little bit tentative when I was making this presentation, but generally, partners, Seeded Sisters, will be able to help with that distribution. So if you're out in RAMA, you might want to grab, or excuse me, Jemez, take your pen and just kind of write this down. So what will be happening is the hub out in Bernalillo, which is an awesome spot that Seeded Sisters and other projects are working to create for community, which is located at 781 US Highway 550, so 550 in Bernalillo. The drop will happen at about 3 p.m. And if you can't make that location or pickup time, and you are located in Jemez, then you can contact Seeded Sisters and see about picking up from them at a later time from within Jemez. So again, if you can make it to Bernalillo 3 p.m. on Thursday, May 6th, the hub at 781 US Highway 550 will be the spot where you can pick that up from us and Seeded Sisters. Okay, so later in the week, by Friday, May 7th, Isleta, Peralta, Valencia, and Los Lunas area. Starting with Isleta, Friday, May 7th, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Will be the Youth Rec Center parking lot. I'll be available out there to pick up your supplies. If this time and or date doesn't work for participants in Isleta, you can just let us know either in the chat here, you can email me or call me, and we can account for pickups for you at one of the South Valley locations if that works better for you, whether it be because of work or what have you. But for the time being, Friday, May 7th, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. in the rec center parking lot for any Isleta participants. a little bit later that same day, Friday, for anybody out in Peralta, Valencia, or Los Lunas area, from about 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Excuse me. We'll be using Riverside Park, which is located on Main Street in Los Lunas and is right adjacent to the Rio Grande. Just the like little parking area that you can pull in off of Main Street. I'll go a little zoom. You can see Main Street here, the Rio Grande is here, obviously. This little parking area where I think there's like some playground equipment and stuff. Again, you can pull in, grab your stuff, and pull right back out. So Friday, May 7th, 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. for Peralta, Valencia, and Los Lunas area is Riverside Park. And finally, next day, Saturday, May 8th, out in Dulce and Jicarilla area. This is another plan that's just a little bit tentative, mostly just the exact time. I'll be able to make connections with folks in that area on Saturday, May 8th, in Chama. And any suggestions that you might have of a good public location that's easily spottable would be great. But I will be connecting with folks who are participating out there individually to set a time and an exact location. But Saturday, May 8th, most likely late morning, early afternoon is when I can be in that area or make it out to there at about that time. So that was a lot. Any questions or concerns about the drop-off schedule? Okay, and again, if something comes up, if you think that another location might work better for you than where you're actually located or the address that you actually signed up with, you just need to let us know ahead of time and we can accommodate to have your set included in a drop-off. And I will note that if you maybe, for example, especially in the Albuquerque area, or miss a time that's earlier in the day, if you just let us know, we can have your supplies ready at one of the other locations that you can certainly make it to. So yeah, it should work out well. Again, there's no accounting for traffic, especially going on I-40. My fingers are really, really extra, triple, double crossed. That I don't run into any issues. I've been watching the Shiwi traffic report and I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But if things get kind of delayed, I'll make sure to spend a little extra time the following morning to get folks what they need out in that area. So with that, if something does come up, please just feel free to contact me by email, or you can give me a call. I'm happy to help and work it out however it needs to be worked out. And I think that is basically it for the workshop. Just a reminder that we'll have our cooking classes available. We're going to start recording those next week with Chef Patrick, and he's got some really cool recipes to kind of look forward to. And after you've had some time to kind of view those and test them out, we'll do like a live stream Q&A kind of, you know, moment where you can ask questions or, you know, try stuff out live with Chef Patrick. And yeah, I think that'll be great. But I really, I know I've been beating this like a dead horse, but please try to join the Facebook group, follow us on Instagram, let us know your questions there. We're really trying to help answer those as soon as possible, or, you know, make it a way that we can share more resources with you as well. And it's good that we're done because I'm losing my voice. But are there any questions that anybody has related to hoop houses, scheduling, seeds, anything and everything? What do you got?
I had a question. So I was wondering, I'm an educational assistant, and the teacher I work with, we have an area that's a patio. Do you guys do stuff like that too, or is it only for homes? Like if my teacher wanted to be a part of this program and get supplies for the students for the, I think we have like 5, I don't know, planters, like big square planters. And she's been wanting to do some gardening out there, but I didn't know if you guys do stuff like that for schools or if it's just for people at home.
Yeah, I mean, well, Sembrando Salud has never really entered into like school gardens or community gardens that I know of. But I think if somebody wants to maybe individually join and see like the curriculum and follow along, we can do that. I think for like setting up a school garden, that's probably like a larger conversation that we would want to have and you know, see what the options are. So I think what might be good is if you want to send an email either to info so that all of our staff can see, or myself, just like some more information, and then we can see like what's what.
Okay, great. I was just curious. Yeah, it would
Yeah.
just be for one class patio area. But yes, I'll send it. I'll talk to the teacher and see because she's been interested in doing that. So and then I'll have her email.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions from folks?
I had submitted a question through the chat, but I'm not sure if it went through. I'd definitely like to use the rototiller if it's available. Do you know if that will be possible or if it's all booked up?
Yeah, I mean, and Shirley, you're out in Isleta. Correct. Okay, so I think we just need to get an idea of who needs it and where they are, and then we can start like probably just contacting, I would say individually, and just see the dates and times that work. Unless Emma or say you know of any conflict from that you can think of. No. Okay, cool. So Shirley, I'll probably just have you email me and maybe let me know like some, I guess some of your windows of time. And then I'll see with the staff and how we can work it out.
Thank you. All my windows are open. So it's just dependent upon availability. So, but yeah, I'll definitely call and follow up with you on that.
Okay,
Thank you.
sounds good. And I think that's true of anybody else who is thinking that they need that. Just let us know. I've already had one person in Albuquerque contact me, so I'm kind of getting ready to start making those plans with people. Yeah, so just let us know. Any other questions? Supplies, tillers, hoop houses? If
I just have more of a comment than anything. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. This has been amazing, amazing. So thank you for all the time that you took to do this, to put this together.
Thank you, Anna. It's been really fun. I've definitely learned a lot, especially from Emma and Jose. So I hope that everybody else has as well. It's been really good, and our hope is that we can continue to grow this project so that, you know, we can come back in later seasons and really think about it year round. So just fingers crossed for that. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for everybody who's been coming and coming back. It's been great. And then I think Emma responded in the chat. Yeah, about just the USDA Farm to School program. which is, I think it was Shandora, which is maybe something to look into also if school gardening is something that's on the horizons for your particular school. It might be a good idea to look into. Sorry. Yeah, I think that's it for everybody. And again, contact me, please, if you have any questions or run into any hiccups with the schedule for supply drop-off. And just let us know where we should go if we miss you or if you miss us or vice versa. Thank you, everybody. And you'll be seeing emails from me still and announcements from me where you can catch more resources and videos and stuff that we have for any of the things that we've covered and anything having to do with your questions or whatever. We're always here, so we want to hear from you.
Yeah, just thank you all so much for your presence and for your amazing questions. You all had such thoughtful, great questions. So yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys are able to accomplish with your gardens. And yeah, as we've said, we're here to support you all along the way. So yeah, definitely make sure that you follow Catery's advice and join our Facebook groups and all of that. And yeah, we'll grow some awesome vegetables this year together. So thank you.
If you think you grow the best tomatoes, show me. There's no evidence until you prove it.
Prove it.
I'm not too sure. I think this year, I think I might try to do that greenhouse, that DIY house. And if I do, I'll probably do a couple videos on the process or whatever. But yeah, it's gonna be cool. I think I've seen a couple on YouTube, and yeah, it seems like there's a couple of steps that you got to do right and stuff. But let's see how handy I am. But like I said, if you think you have the best vegetables, prove it. Just kidding. Definitely do post stuff on our Facebook. It definitely helps people get motivated and overall just be like, what am I not doing or what am I doing to get better? So yeah, I thank you so much for your time. These 3 Saturdays have been awesome, but going on, I think there's going to be more trainings on other stuff during the year, and then the cooking classes and just everybody posting stuff. It's going to be awesome. So I hope this community grows. And yeah, you're number one here for our Facebook stuff. So yeah, awesome. I hope to see you soon though.
Right, cool. Thank you, everybody. And I'll put that contact information back up in case you need it again. And yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.